Marshal stepped outside this Syracuse, New York hotel, put his service pistol to his head, and pulled the trigger. The suicide committed within hours of the armed Air Marshal's next scheduled mission to fly on a commercial U.S. air flight from Syracuse, New York to Washington, D.C. Since 2002, CNN has learned 10 Federal Air Marshals have committed suicide. Several more have died in questionable accidents. And some armed Federal Air Marshals, sleep-deprived and mentally exhausted from grueling flight schedules, are breaking down on assignments, turning to medications and alcohol.
Would I, sitting on a plane, want a stressed-out Federal Air Marshal, potentially suicidal Air Marshal, on that plane with me?
You would not.
Sonia Hightower, a recently retired Federal Air Marshal, says the threat of a suicidal Air Marshal is just the beginning. On board an aircraft, the armed Federal Air Marshal must respond at a moment's notice to any threat. And right now, she says, some Air Marshals are falling apart.
Air Marshals are exhausted. They're having memory loss. They're being forgetful. They can't move. They can't respond fast to things. And the agency was not prepared for someone to document that as well as Harvard did in their study.
This is that study. It's from 2012. TSA commissioned it, got the results, and had it classified as sensitive security information. CNN obtained a copy of the report, and the results are disturbing. 75% of Air Marshals flying on domestic missions were sleep deficient. On international runs, the figure rose to more than 84%. In a job where it's critical to be alert and accurate at a moment's notice, the study finds the acute and chronic lack of sleep substantially degrades a Federal Air Marshal's ability to react and think quickly. And it gets even worse. The study, conducted by the Division of Sleep Medicine, Brigham and Women's Hospital and Harvard Medical School, found half of Federal Air Marshals take some medication or supplement to get to sleep. Others commented they turned to alcohol. Federal Air Marshals responded to survey questions saying, "Most of the sleep patterns I have are broken. This is not healthy. I need to take sleep aids. Alcoholic drinks mixed with sleeping pills." One Air Marshal, in response to a question asking if he consumed 5 or 6 drinks per week, responded saying, "Give us a break, Harvard. 8 to 12 per night on an overnighter, and the same just to sleep at home." The study says it is likely a significant proportion of FAMs, Air Marshals, suffer from undiagnosed sleep disorders and puts them at increased risk of self-injury, higher rates of fatigue-related motor vehicle accidents, and greater incidence of serious errors.
Do you fear that it will take a catastrophe to get the attention of somebody?
I hope to God we don't have to go through that. We have the ability to fix this agency. We have the ability to change these things. We can. And we can do it pretty fast. But nobody's listening.
In April of last year, a Federal Air Marshal, sitting at his desk in this field office in New Jersey, shot himself in the leg.
I can tell you that was a cry for help.
John Cassaretti is a senior Federal Air Marshal and national president of the Air Marshals Association.
We don't know how many suicides there have been here. We don't know how many have been covered up. We don't know how many attempted suicides we've had.
We wanted to speak to the Federal Air Marshal Service about the suicides, but our interview request was turned down. Instead, the TSA issued this statement, saying it is committed to providing Air Marshals with the resources and support they need to carry out their mission, and any loss of life is unacceptable. The statement goes on to say that the Air Marshal Service maintains a robust system of both medical, including mandatory physicals, and psychological assistance programs, which are readily available to the workforce and their families. CNN has learned of only one incident during an actual flight. Sources say an Air Marshal had to be restrained by other members of a security team during a flight from Africa, where an intoxicated Air Marshal got into an altercation with the flight crew. Cassaretti says it is the grueling and, in his opinion, pointless schedules of the Federal Air Marshals that are leading to mental exhaustion.
Are these suicides the result of that?
I believe so. I'm sure of it. I have no doubts. I have no doubts.
A TSA official insists Air Marshal schedules ensure appropriate rest periods. As for the study that shows an overwhelming number of sleep-deprived air marshals, an official told CNN recommendations were adopted, including, quote, the creation of an educational training DVD. Not enough, say air marshals, who say they are wasting their lives and some even taking them, carrying out a pointless mission.
Drew, I mean, if the air marshals or some air marshals themselves are calling it a pointless mission, I mean, why continue to have them? Has there been one instance when a would-be terrorist was stopped by an air marshal?
Anderson, that is the big question. We don't know of a single terrorist attack that's been prevented by an air marshal. We do know that the director of the Federal Air Marshals proudly said that his officers helped with onboard medical emergencies, unruly passengers, but nothing about stopping a terrorist. The air marshals tell us they are misused, Anderson. The idea of putting terror cops on planes was a knee-jerk reaction after 9/11. It's proven not to be a good use of their time or our tax dollars. Here's what they say. They want to focus on actually investigating, doing the work, trying to be actual terror cops, not just flying around on these grueling schedules and covering, Anderson, only a very tiny fraction of the actual flights. Anderson?
Well, Drew, we'll continue to follow this. Thank you very much. Coming up in honor of tonight's season finale, the